Hello, I am here with something very special today. I am ranking 125 Linkin Park songs. For those who do not know, I'm a massive Linkin Park fan who has an account on two Linkin Park forums. They are also the only artists I listen to all the demos and unreleased songs of. Some of their unreleased songs are better than a lot of artists' best song. I am ranking 125 songs, and I am ranking Tinfoil and Powerless as one song, as well as Foreward and Don't Stay as one song, like they both should have been in the first place. I am ranking every non meme song with vocals, minus a few demos that did not feel like complete songs. This includes every official studio album songs, most B-sides and unreleased songs, one-off singles, and a majority of new vocal songs from Hybrid Theory 20th Anniversary and Meteoira 20th Anniversary. This also includes movie soundtrack songs. I am not ranking instrumentals or interludes unless they are on one of the official albums or Hybrid Theory EP, as that would have made this list an impossible task. You will quickly learn that I have a dislike for interludes. This is the same for every artist. It is not a Linkin Park specific problem for me. Feel free to roast my taste, but please do not roast my outfit, look, or voice. If by some chance Minus happens to be watching this video, I got my Linkin Park Hybrid Theory t-shirt on, and I got my church's hat on. I'm not a good speaker, so I may fumble over my words at times, and I will probably tier most of this list without explanations because I do not have a diverse vocabulary, and it would end up with me giving similar explanations for many songs. I have 6 categories I'm splitting the songs into, called Top 20, The Great, The Good, The Okay, The Bad, and The Too Hard to Listen to Since Chester's Death. I may include more categories as we go on if a category is too large. I will be ranking from the bottom of the list at number 125 and finishing off with number 1. I have left the images of the template in order to not spoil the order beforehand. I do have probably a lot of hot takes. So now let's start with the bad. The worst song in Linkin Park history. What do you think that I am going to put as the worst song in Linkin Park history with everything that I have just said? Of course, it's going to be an interlude. The Radiance. I, unlike many people, do not listen to 1,000 Suns in full. I would skip about half the album if I listened to it in full. That doesn't mean it's a bad album. I think Linkin Park has 2 albums that are worse than it. Like I said, I hate interludes. I'm just not a fan of interludes. It doesn't matter the artist. It's very rare that I like interludes. And it's very rare that I even like instrumentals. Like there's some instrumentals that I do enjoy, but really I'm not an interlude guy and I'm not an instrumental guy. So the worst is The Radiance. Next is another interlude coming in at 123. Wisdom, Justice, and Love. It's just very repetitive and annoying to listen to. And I just realized that we should have started with Too Hard to Listen to Since Chester's Death. Technically, this will be listed as song 125. I don't think it's the worst Linkin Park song ever made. I just think the lyrics make it extremely hard to listen to the song based on how Chester died. And that is Bleed It Out. Now, I am not a mastermind I couldn't tell you exactly what bleed it out means. But what I can tell you is it talks about nooses and like hanging and stuff like that, and just the way that Chester died. It's ever since Chester died, I just find it very hard to listen to this song, and it's the only song that's actually going to end up in this category. And Minutes of Midnight is actually one of my favorite Linkin Park albums, and you'll see later that it could have even been higher on my favorite Linkin Park albums tier list. It's just that because of the lyrics, I don't really know why or I don't really know what the song technically means, but based on the lyrics, it's just something that I can't listen to anymore since Chester's death. So now let's go back to the bad. What's coming up next? Of course, yet another interlude. Empty Spaces. It's literally a song, I'm not even sure I would call it a song, of nothingness. So I'm not really a fan. I'm not a fan of interludes. It doesn't matter the artist. Back in the day, the Eminem Show used to be one of my all-time favorite albums, and I didn't even like interludes on that album. And pretty much any album with interludes that's not named Blonde by Frank Ocean, I will skip the interludes. So now, what do you think is coming up next in the bad category? Of course, another interlude. It's Fallout. I just do not like interludes. I don't really know what to say. And of course, coming in at number 120 is another interlude. The Summoning. The first interlude that's not from A Thousand Suns. Funnily enough. All these interludes are low-key just as bad as each other. You could probably just put them in any order in my scenario, but this is how I ended up ranking them. And then at 119, we have yet another interlude. Why did A Thousand Suns have arguably the best sound style in all of Linkin Park albums? The actual vocal tracks are basically some of the best work they have ever done, but they put together all these interludes. The album could have been by far my favorite album of all time if it just had 15 songs or 12 songs instead of all these interludes, because the sound of the actual songs is very incredible. Next, we have yet another interlude. I'm probably gonna butcher this. Wait, hold on. Why is it not letting me put it in front of the Requiem? There we go. Jornada del Muerto. Sorry if I butchered that. Again, it's a slightly better interlude, but it's just not for me. I'm not a fan of interludes, and all the interludes on A Thousand Suns just annoy me. I know a lot of people like this. A lot of people will be watching this video, if they choose to watch it, do like these interludes. So we will have disagreements there. And now for the worst actual song they have ever made. I don't know what Linkin Park was thinking. They often do genres they don't normally do, but they often do genres they are capable of doing. And for this one song, they attempted a genre that they had no right to attempt. And that was making a punk song. War. War is awful. They just do not know how to make a punk song. Chester's voice did not fit a punk song. The instrumentals did not sound good. They just don't have any right to be making punk music. And next we have oh, I see it. So coming in at 116, we have a song. It's very short, which is why it ended up in the bad category, probably. It's not necessarily terrible, but it's kind of just there and nothingness. It's Technique from the Hybrid Theory EP. Dude, I hate tier list maker. There we go. Technique shows off Joe Hahn's DJ ability, but like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of instrumentals. I actually do like a lot of like EDM type music, but I usually listen to the EDM or electronic music that has vocals attached to it, like Igo and other artists. And now coming in at 115 is a song that a lot of people might have not even heard. So this list is 125 songs when you combine Powerless and Tinfoil and combine Foreward and Don't Stay like they should have been. And if you're not a hardcore Linkin Park fan, you will have never heard of half these songs because they're underground songs, they're unreleased songs, they're B-side demos. And this is the first B-side demo to make it onto the list. And I gotta remember where this is from. Why do I not see it? Am I just blind? Is it not on here? Don't tell me it's not on here. Oh, it disappeared. Hold on. Give me 1 second. And actually, this isn't even... I lied. This is a movie soundtrack song, but a lot of people don't know this movie soundtrack exists. There we go. So the base template that I'm using for this video did not have... It had every song I needed except the 4 songs from the Mall soundtrack. And so I just made really crappy versions of the 4 Mall songs really quick. The rest of this was not made by me. I'm just using a pre-existing template. And this song is The Last Line. It is just pretty bland, boring soundtrack song. Nothing too extraordinary. And coming in at 114 is the legendary song Picture Board. Everyone wanted it for years and years and years. And they couldn't release it due to copyright issues, I believe, or sampling issues. And it finally got released on Hybrid Theory 20. And it's just a very bland and boring song that basically has nothing going for it. It wasn't even worth all the hype. Like, the entire community just hyped up the song for years, and then it turned out to be, in my opinion, not a good song. And here, other than the interludes, this is where my first hot take really comes in. At 113, we have what a lot of fans, at least on the forums I'm a part of, consider this as one of their favorite songs, and that is No Roads Left. I am not against Mike Shinoda singing. I actually do love many Mike Shinoda singing songs, as you will see later in this list, but for some reason, No Roads Left just always bored me. I could never get into it. I just saw everyone hype it up, but for some reason, I just could never get into it. And at 112, this is a song that people might know because of Meteor 20. If they've listened to it, I don't know if like I assume a lot of people that aren't like super fans of Linkin Park didn't even listen to Hybrid Theory 20 or Meteor 20. But this next song is called Massive. And I haven't listened enough to Meteor 20 to really tell you why I dislike this song off the top of my head. But when I was making this ranking, it was over a week-long period, and I definitely spent a lot of time ranking these songs. And one disclaimer is a lot of this order could change, especially like as we get into the top 20 or the top 30. Like there was a lot of debate between songs. Like there would be 3 songs in a row that I'm like, well, should I order it? This song is 1, this song is 2, this song is 3, or should the third song actually go in front of the first song? And there was a lot of debate. So I spent a lot of time going through this, and some of the songs that, like Meteor 20, for example, because I haven't listened to it that much. There's songs that like I spent a lot of time like listening to over and over again to be like, okay, this is where I would rank this song. And now we come to number 111. This is a song that, honestly, if I remember right, it has a feature that it didn't need to have, and the Chester parts are also very bland. Pretty much, it's a very basic song, and it does absolutely nothing. And that's All for Nothing. And one thing you will see is some of these albums have very mixed opinions, where I will have a lot of songs like more towards the lower of the list, but then a lot of songs towards the higher of the list. And another song that recently came out, they put One More Light demo on their greatest hits album for some reason, but it has to be one of the most bland pop songs I've ever heard in my entire life. And I've heard a lot of bland pop songs in my entire life, and that is Friendly Fire. It's just, there's no need for it to be on the greatest hits album. I understand a lot of artists put like an unreleased song on a greatest hits album, but I feel like they could have done so much better with their greatest hits album. The track listing was weird. They didn't have any song from The Hunting Party, which was weird. The new song that they put on it wasn't that great, and maybe people disagree with me, I don't know, but it's a very weird release. And so next we have the most what's the word I'm looking for? For some reason I can't remember the word I'm looking for, but the song in Linkin Park's category that you either hate it or you love it. It's the most like splitting song of the fan base. Like you either hate it or you love it. There's usually no in between. Half the fan base hates it, half the fan base loves it. At least at the time that the song came out. I don't know if that opinion has changed over the years, but that is Robot Boy. Very, very tough song to listen to. It's not my cup of tea. It's not necessarily a badly written song. It's just the sound of the song is not my cup of tea. And sometimes that just happens, where just like the interludes of A Thousand Suns, like it's just not my cup of tea. And sometimes that doesn't necessarily make a song terribly written. It just makes it lower in my tier list because the sound is not my cup of tea. And the last song in the bad section, because Linkin Park doesn't have that many bad songs, and you will see that the bulk of the songs are in the good or up. And that could be biased, but Linkin Park is my second favorite band of all time, only behind Blink-182 with Tom. And I think if Linkin Park was a bit more consistent, it would probably be over Blink 182 for me. Because I think Blink 182 with Tom have never really released an album that's worse than an 8 out of 10. Whereas I would say The Hunting Party is worse than an 8 out of 10. I rank One More Light as an 8 out of 10. And because of all the interludes, I also rank A Thousand Suns as an 8 out of 10. So I think if Linkin Park was a bit more consistent, they would be my favorite band of all time, probably. They were one of the first secular bands I ever got into. But this is the final song in the bad section. And of course, it's from my least favorite Linkin Park album, The Hunting Party, Keys to the Kingdom. It's a heavy song. It's rare I dislike a heavy song from Linkin Park, but it's possible. Like, not saying all heavy songs are good. I was on Linkin Park Association. That's one of the two forums that I post on. I don't really post on the other Linkin Park forum anymore, but I still post on Linkin Park Association. And I remember during the release cycle of The Hunting Party, the band was talking about the album being more visceral for live shows, and then some people got to go to a listening party and they said it was their heaviest album to date. And I was like, okay, this is gonna be the best Linkin Park album ever because it's their heaviest album to date. It's gonna be so good. And then it turned out to be their worst album, in my opinion, with a lot of forgettable songs. And never hype yourself up because you might be disappointed. Heavy doesn't always equal good. And so now we will move on to the okay category. And first we have a song from the Mall soundtrack, Devil's Drop. It's a lot of people probably haven't heard this. The only reason I really remember that the Mall soundtrack exists is because one of the 4 songs from this soundtrack ends up very high in my ranking. And I haven't actually seen the movie. The movie was made by Johan of Linkin Park. I haven't seen the movie. I don't watch many movies. I play video games and I go to concerts and I listen to music. And I don't really watch movies. And I watch a lot of Twitch and YouTube. And so I haven't seen the movie, but I have heard the songs on the soundtrack. And Devil's Drop just okay. It doesn't. I don't necessarily hate it, but I'm never gonna go out of my way to replay this song. And next in the okay category is a very underwhelming collaboration with Tom Morello. It's Draw Bar from The Hunting Party. When I saw that Tom Morello was going to be a feature on The Hunting Party, I expected a way better song. It turned out just to be an instrumental, which I did mention a lot of times. Instrumentals aren't the greatest song in the world for me. And it just turned out to also not only just be an instrumental, it turned out to be a pretty underwhelming instrumental. Very basic to me, it felt like. And speaking of instrumentals, we have the first song from Hybrid Theory making the list. It's Cure for the Itch. It's the only song on Hybrid Theory that I would give less than an 8 out of 10. It's the only song that I don't usually skip it because it's not like completely terrible. But because if I'm listening to Hybrid Theory in full, I usually just let it play. But like I said, just not a big instrumental guy. When I do listen to EDM, it's usually the kind with vocals. When I listen to electronic music, it's the kind with vocals like Churches, Like My Hat, or like Inner Party System, Kygo, Love, etc., etc. Just not a big instrumental guy. And speaking of instrumentals, we have Wake, the intro to Minutes to Midnight. The The only reason it's this low, again, is because it's an instrumental. I actually think for an intro to an album, it's not a terrible song. It's just they have songs that are better than Wake. I mean, it doesn't really do much. It's a nice introduction to the album, but beyond that, it doesn't really do much. And now I think I have another hot take on my hands. It's an LPU underground song, so a lot of people probably haven't heard it. But the people who have heard it, I think they tend to enjoy it way more than I do. It's called Pretend to Be. I don't really have too much to say about this song, especially because a lot of people who might come across this video have not heard this song. So I would just go on YouTube and listen to it. You won't find it on Spotify, to my knowledge. So just go on Spotify and listen to it. Or not Spotify, sorry, I just said you won't find it on Spotify. Go on YouTube and listen to it, see what you feel about it. And another song is More the Victim is the next song, coming in at 102. Now, More the Victim is basically how I feel like a lot of demos of Linkin Park songs or unreleased songs can be. It's weird because some of their unreleased songs are really, really incredible, and then a lot of their unreleased songs are like, I can tell why this did not make the album. And this is a song from Meteoira 20 that actually has vocals, but it's definitely a song that's just kind of there, kind of bland, basic. I can tell why it didn't make the album, why they didn't pursue this song further and try to get it onto the album. And the next song is a song from the 0 Days, where technically they had a different singer, Mark Wakerfield, but the reason it's on this list is because there is a version with Chester Bennington. Technically it's a live version, but I thought I would include it anyways because I want to include as many full vocal songs as possible, and then obviously I'm going to include every single album song, and that's Reading My Eyes. Now, a lot of people love Reading My Eyes. To me, I don't know what it is about some of my hot takes, but it's just a song that I never really understood why people liked it so much. And speaking of the 0 Days, is another song from the 0 Days. Technically, Mark Wakerfield is on the vocals, but there is a version with Chester Bennington. I actually think there's multiple versions with Chester Bennington, but that is Stick and Move. It's another song that you can tell it's pre-Hybrid Theory days, even pre-Hybrid Theory EP days. You can tell they just hadn't found their right sound yet, is what I personally feel. They hadn't found that perfect like Hybrid Theory sound that everyone came to know and love. It felt a bit too raw, too underdeveloped. And then coming in at 99 is probably one of my biggest hot takes. It's the lead single from Meteoira 20th Anniversary. It's Lost. Now, a lot of people love this song, and you'll see later that there's a song from Meteoira 20 that I just love way, way more than Lost. And a lot of people say that Lost was the perfect representation of Meteoira 20 and should have been on Meteoira. But I personally feel that Lost would have made Meteoira a weaker album, and that another song that we will get to later would have been a perfect fit for Meteoira. But from what I've seen on the internet, that is a hot take. That is a hipster opinion. I do have a lot of hipster opinions. that's not just Linkin Park. I feel like I have a lot of hipster opinions to a lot of artists. And coming in at number 98, we have a song from Hybrid Theory 20. Just kind of exists. It's called So Far Away. Again, it's just an old demo that feels like it was before they had found the perfect Hybrid Theory sound that they were looking for. And oh, 1 second. Okay, and now I have another hot take, at least to my knowledge, because a lot of people seem to like this song, but this song was a bonus track on Hybrid Theory, and I think it was also on Hybrid Theory EP. And a lot of times with bonus tracks, you can tell why they were bonus tracks. They're usually not as good as tracks on the actual original album, in my opinion. There are exceptions, obviously. There's some artists that do very well with bonus tracks. But I personally, in most cases, never liked bonus tracks from Linkin Park. And this song, it's definitely a hipster opinion, but that is High Voltage. I think it's some of Mike's worst lyrics, worst rapping performance, and it's just kind of boring to go back to. And speaking of Mike, we have our very first song from One More Light, the pop album that divided a lot of the fan base because they had just released their heaviest album yet, and then they went straight into a pop album, and that is Invisible. I just think Mike's singing is not the greatest on Invisible. I think Mike has definitely had better singing in the past, and that it's just kind of a generic song that's there and doesn't really do much. And speaking of generic singing, is another bonus track from Hybrid Theory. Coming in at number 95, I am not a fan of My December. Shouldn't say not a fan, but it's definitely lower on the list. The lyrics are okay. I just never really liked the sound or the vocals all that much. And I just felt like My December and also High Voltage, I understand why they were bonus tracks, because they don't really sound like Hybrid Theory songs. They don't really fit on Hybrid Theory, in my opinion. And so that also doesn't help. So if you listen to the deluxe edition of Hybrid Theory, you have this really good, really cohesive album from start to finish. Then you have these two bonus tracks that just kind of feel out of place. But that often happens with bonus tracks with other artists as well. And then I think this is another hipster opinion, and maybe I just don't like Mike as much as some people do, but I know a lot of people love Until It Breaks by From Living Things. And what you'll see later is Living Things is, this is another hot take, but Living Things is actually my favorite Linkin Park album. You will see that this is like the one song from Living Things that I don't really go back to all that often. Because if I'm listening to the album front to finish, I probably won't skip it, but I just don't go back to it. I don't put it in playlists. I don't seek the song out. It's just kind of like the structure of it is very weird to me. I never liked Mike's style in that song. And I know that's a hot take. I know a lot of people really, really like that song. And a lot of people even consider it one of the better songs from Living Things. But for me, it's just not that great of a song. Wow, I should probably talk less. We are only on 94, and we've already made this video way too long. Next, let's see, we're at 93. This is a song that I believe was an LPU song on one of the LPUs. I Have Not Begun. I don't really have much to say about that. Go listen to it if you haven't heard it before, because a lot of these songs are songs that the casual listener will have not heard before. And at 92, we have another mall soundtrack song. It goes through. It's kind of generic, doesn't really do anything for me. And now we have a song that I used to like a lot more than I do these days. But the raw style, the vocals, the generic lyrics, the generic song structure, it's Wastelands from the Hunting Party. And then speaking of the Hunting Party, we have the very generic lead single, might honestly be, in terms of genericy, the most generic song they've ever made, Until It's Gone. And the reason why it's higher than some of these songs is because I do enjoy listening to it on occasion, but it is just a very, very generic song, and it might be their most generic song they've ever made. And next comes the first song to show up from the standard edition of Meteoira. This song was always like a 7 out of 10 song for me in a pool of 10 out of 10 songs on Meteoira. Like, that's how good the songs from Meteoira are. But this one song just didn't quite nail it like the other songs did, and that is Hit the Floor. And now we have the last song in the OK section. Because, like I said, Linkin Park has just a ton of incredible music, so they actually don't have that many bad songs. And that is a Hybrid Theory unreleased song. It's on Hybrid Theory 20 if you want to go listen to it. It's called Slip. And now we move on to the good. Now, what do you think I think is a good Linkin Park song based on everything that I've said so far? Now, this is actually one of their raw songs that I do like, and it's Part of Me from Hybrid Theory EP. I do think their raw sound from Hybrid Theory EP is overall a good sound. It's just not like the best of the best, but it's still a good. Next, we have another song from Meteoira 20. It was also on an LPU album before that. It Sold My Soul to Your Mama. And no, I did not actually sell my soul to no one's mama. But it's a good song. I don't really... The problem with the LPU songs and like I guess now like some of the songs are on Spotify, but a lot of the unreleased songs aren't on Spotify, so I don't really have too much to say about them because I pretty much solely listen to Spotify these days, and so a lot of times I just forget that some of these songs exist. And speaking of, or not forget that they exist, but rather don't listen to them that often. And speaking of another song that I don't listen to that often because it's not on Spotify is Grudge Match. Really good rapping from Mike. It's pretty short, but it's really good quality. The lyrics are good. The beat is good. The flow is good. Highly recommend looking it up on YouTube if you've never heard it. And speaking of another song that is an unreleased song until Meteor 20 is Standing in the Middle. I don't have much to say about it. Like I said, I haven't listened to Meteor 20 that much, but I did listen to a decent amount preparing for this video. And then We are on to number 83, and this is probably the best instrumental that they've done in terms of like album instrumentals. I think there's a few like LPU instrumentals that I've enjoyed more, but I'm not ranking those because that would make this list a mess. And that is Session from Meteoira. I'm not a huge instrumental guy, but I actually really like Session. Um, it fits Meteor well, in my opinion. And speaking of songs that you probably haven't heard, we got three in a row coming up. And the first is Blue, an unreleased song from Hybrid Theory that sounds like it could have been a perfect fit on Hybrid Theory. And then a lot of people probably also haven't heard Hybrid Theory EP. And another good song is Carousel. Okay, there we go. And then one more song coming in at 80 is Healing Foot. Another song from Meteor 20 that's pretty decent. I feel like a lot of Meteor 20 was hit and miss, like the new vocal songs like Lost, More the Victim, Massive were a bit of a letdown, but Healing Foot, Standing in the Middle, Yo Mama was pretty good. Yo Mama's been around for a while now, though, technically. Now we're getting back to some more familiar territory. If you have listened to Linkin Park's albums, we're coming in with By Myself. I really like Chester and Mike's parts. The screams are fantastic. It's still one of the weaker songs on Hybrid Theory, but it's still a good song. Like Hybrid Theory pretty much just has nothing but good songs. So it's hard. Like when you have a band like Linkin Park that has so many good songs, like some songs are just gonna be naturally more at the bottom. And speaking of a song that's good but just more at the bottom, it is Halfway Right from One More Light. It's got a little bit of a weird sound to it that like I personally enjoy, but I can see why some people might not enjoy. I like the lyrics, I like the vocal performance. It's a good song. And another song that a lot of people would probably rank it higher than I do, but I still have it in the good category. I still like it as a song. I think it's a really good closing song. It's The Messenger from A Thousand Suns. It's a really good, more acoustic style closing song with good lyrics, really good vocals, and I really enjoy it. And speaking of a song that I would consider somewhat similar, I guess, is Talking to Myself, coming in at number 76. Now, you'll find that a lot of One More Light does show up around this same area, and that is because I think it's their second worst album. I don't really, other than sometimes Invincible, I don't really dislike any songs from it, but a lot of the songs are good, but not like great, like a lot of other Linkin Park songs are. Like they're good, but they could have been so much more, I feel like. And speaking of that, is Good Goodbye. Pretty good rap song. Probably would have been better if it was all just Mike, but I enjoy the features. They don't take away from the song. Stormzy did a really good job. But it feels weak compared to like a lot of their earlier work. But I still enjoy it a lot. And at 74, I need to stop talking so much. This is taking way longer than I expected it to. Coming in at 74 is a song that's got nothing but banger rap vocals, and that is Dedicated. If you haven't heard it, go listen to Hybrid Theory 20. Great song. Great song. And speaking of One More Light again, Sharp Edges I could see why some people might not like it. It does have a weird vibe to it, but I personally like it. I think the vocals are good, the lyrics are good. I think one thing that One More Light did really well is in the lyrics department. I understand it's kind of a generic pop album, especially after they just released their most heaviest album to date right before it, but it's still, the songs are still enjoyable in my opinion. And this might also be a hot take. Hold on. One of their heaviest songs ever made, my least favorite song, and I think, or not, that sounds weird. My least favorite actual song from Minutes to Midnight. What do you think it's gonna be? It's No More Sorrow. That's probably a hot take. It's the first like actual song to show up other than Wake, which is not really, it's a song, but it's not really a song, if you know what I mean. Because I actually like Bleed It Out more than No More Sorrow. It's just really hard to listen to ever since Chester's death. And No More Sorrow has, it's still a really good song. It's got really good guitar, really good vocals. One of the heavy songs from Minutes to Midnight. Lots of people really love this song. I just think Minutes to Midnight is such a incredible album, and it could have been even way more incredible, as you will see later on in the list. And coming in at 71, we have another Hybrid Theory EP song, Step Up. It's got really good mic rapping in it, so go check it out if you haven't heard it. And another song that might be higher than some people have it, but might be lower than some people have it, is Heavy, featuring Kiara. I don't think it was the best lead single for the album One More Light, but I do think it got too much hate. I think the feature was good. I think the song was good. I do enjoy listening to it. And it has good lyrics and good vocals, and I think it received too much hate, but I also think they have a lot of songs that are better than it. And speaking of a song that a lot of people don't think aged well, it's Runaway from Hybrid Theory. I personally have no problem with the lyrics of Runaway. I think they aged perfectly just fine. I think the sound aged perfectly just fine. I actually, if I remember right, I got to see Runaway live when I saw them. I think they played it in their set list. It's either way, like I've seen lots of like live videos of them on YouTube, and it's a very good song live. And another hot take that I have coming in, most people would rank this song higher. It's New Divide. And part of the reason this song is ranked way lower than a lot of other songs is because I simply just always forget it exists. And if I forget that it exists, then it's not as good as other songs because I'm straight up forgetting that it exists. And now we're coming in to 67, where we have another Hybrid Theory 20 song. Could have been, I know a lot of people probably haven't heard these Hybrid Theory 20 songs, so I won't say much about it. Just go listen to it on Spotify. And this is probably a severe hot take to a lot of people. This next song is probably way lower on people's list than it is on my list, but I always thought it was very unique sounding, and the backwards vocals are absolutely incredible, even if the lyrics are nothing noteworthy. It's Announcement Service Public. I think Announcement Service Public should have been the intro to Minutes to Midnight instead of Wake. I think Minutes to Midnight is a really fantastic album, but it could have been even so much better, because in terms of like B-sides and unreleased songs and demos, Minutes to Midnight by far has the best demos and B-sides of any Linkin Park album that we've heard demos from. Like all the demos and B-sides and unreleased songs from Minutes to Midnight are just really incredible for the most part. Um, and next, we have another good song that I enjoy listening to. Probably received more hate than it should have. It's Battle Symphony from One More Light. And like I said, all these One More Light songs, they're good. They're good to listen to. Most of them I would rank about an 8 out of 10, so they could be better. They are generic pop songs at the end of the day, but when you love Chester's voice and Mike's voice so much, hard to really dislike a generic pop song from Linkin Park just because you like the singer's voices so much. And the last song to end out the good category is Shadow of the Day from Minutes to Midnight. It is a good song, but it is a song I don't find myself coming back to as much as other songs. And now we move on to the biggest category on the list is the great. And some people might say it's biased, but I truly think they just have this many great songs. And coming in at 63 is Hands Held High. Hands Held High would be higher if it wasn't for political lyrics. I'm not the biggest fan of politics. But it's still, I think Mike does an incredible job at delivery of the song and just the emotion behind the song, and it just sounds like it fits perfectly on Minutes to Midnight. And the next song coming in at 62 is one of my lesser favorites from Meteoira, but I would honestly still say it's an incredible song. It's Easier to Run. I think the sound is a bit weaker than most of Meteoira. It also feels like this song at least fits on Meteoira, but overall it's still a good song to listen to. And next we have one of the few songs from the Hunting Party that I actually enjoy listening to. It's A Line in the Sand. One of their longest songs, if not their longest song. It fluctuates a lot in sound, but it's just a incredible song from start to finish, and I wish they had done more songs like that. Like, you'll see that some of my all-time favorite songs from the Hunting Party specifically are the songs where they actually like branched out and made unique songs instead of the generic ones. And speaking of, well, a song that a lot of people I think do call generic, but I disagree with that, is I'll Be Gone from Living Things. It does have that weird, like, too folky of a style for a lot of people, but I personally love that kind of music. I listen to everything but classical, so it's hard, like, unless it's an interlude or an instrumental, like, I'm pretty open to ideas. If it sounds good, it sounds good. I don't care what genre it is. If it sounds good, it sounds good. And next we have a song that I don't think should ever be forgotten. It's Forgotten from Hybrid Theory. I think it has it's not as like cohesive as a lot of Hybrid Theory is, but it's still an incredible song that I always love listening to. And next, we have one of the more unique songs on Meteoira. It's Nobody's Listening. Those flutes are just incredible to hear in my ears. Then at 57, we have the last demo from Hybrid Theory 20, the last unreleased song. It's She Couldn't. I think She Couldn't's also on Hybrid Theory EP, question mark. It's on something else. I do know that. It's on something else, not just Hybrid Theory 20. It's actually been around for a long time, and I've been listening to it for a long time. And I really enjoy She Couldn't. It's a very, um, it's like, a mellow song for what you think of old school Linkin Park, but the vocals are incredible, the lyrics are incredible, the sound is just incredible. And speaking of mellow or Linkin Park, we have two back to back in What I've Done and Valentine's Day. Oh, okay, She Couldn't go. No, why is this not working correctly? There we go. What I've Done, Valentine's Day, both great songs from Minutes to Midnight. Like I said, Minutes to Midnight really doesn't have bad songs on it, and it could have easily been their best album if they had switched out some of the tracks for some of the unreleased tracks, or just added more tracks to the album track list. But it's still really high up in my ranking. It's actually tied for third with Hybrid Theory for me. Or actually, I made an official top 100 album ranking and posted it to YouTube. It might have ended up fourth on that list or third, because it had to end up in one of the two because I couldn't have ties in that video. But basically, those two albums are basically always tied for me. And now, going to the opposite spectrum, at number 54, we have With You. Those screams are just absolutely incredible. I just love those screams so much. And another good song, also from Hybrid Theory, coming in next, is Points of Authority. Now, one of the biggest Linkin Park songs, which actually amazes me that it got so popular. But I think that they do the rap rock. It's not rap metal, but the rap rock, they do it phenomenally, and the electronic elements are incredible. It's Burn It Down. And then coming up next is a song that a lot of people probably have higher than I do. And I will say one thing, over the years, this song has grown on me a lot. It used to be the only song from Minutes to Midnight Standard Edition that I did not enjoy. But as the years went on, I started to like it more and more and more. And now I really like listening to it. It's the little things give you away. And I think I started liking it more just because my taste has matured a lot. And then coming in next is one of my all-time favorite songs that I don't listen to enough, honestly, but it's really good. It's And One from Hybrid Theory EP. A lot of you probably haven't heard it. So go and listen to it. I think it's on Hybrid Theory 20 on Spotify, or you can always find it on YouTube. And this is where Minutes to Midnight could have been way better than it already is. It's already nearly a flawless album, but Chance of Rain, a demo or an unreleased song from Minutes to Midnight, very incredible song. I love going back to it. Should have been on the album. Like, as you see, I rank it higher than like half the album. Should have made the album, in my opinion, but there's nothing I can really do about that. But at least I can still listen to it. And this next song was actually the hardest song to rank. It was actually the very last song that got ranked on this entire list, and that was Figure .09. I just couldn't figure out where to put Figure .09 on this tier list. Come on, no, it needs to go before Chance of Rain. But again, other than Hit the Floor being a bit weak, I love every single Meteoira song. Some people, especially on Linkin Park Association, will disagree with me on that, but I just think they nailed Meteoira so well. It's my favorite Linkin Park album, even with Hit the Floor being a bit weak. The other songs are just so good. It's by far my favorite Linkin Park. Or wait, it's my second. It's my second favorite Linkin Park album after Living Things, which is a hot take. But those two are like by far my favorite Linkin Park albums. Like, they crush all the other albums out of the water. Um, and next we have Pushing Me Away from Hybrid Theory, which might be lower than some people have it. I still think it's a really good song. Like I said, it's ranked 47. That's still really good for how many songs that Linkin Park has, or how many good songs that Linkin Park has. And now comes in a song that a lot of people probably do have ranked higher than I do, but like I said, it's still in the great category. Linkin Park just has that many great songs. It's one of the actual songs from A Thousand Suns. It's Burning in the Skies. Oh, come on. Come on. Okay. There we go. Burning in the Skies. Incredible vocals, incredible lyrics, incredible sound. And speaking of a hot take, we have When They Come For Me next. I know all of Linkin Park Association will have this song way higher than I do at number 45. I don't think it's a bad song. I actually think it's one of their best songs. I actually really, really like this song. I would say it's a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10 song. Like, that's, it's probably a 10 out of 10, honestly. Their good songs are so good that probably everything in the great category and up is a 10 out of 10. Like, that's how good their songs are. At number 44, we have one of the weirdest lead singles of all time, because it didn't really have an official, like, normal music video, and it was also very raw vocally, and it had a Rakim feature instead of Mike doing the rapping. It's Guilty All the Same. Another fantastic song from start to finish. It's definitely them doing something more experimental. That's what I love about certain parts of the Hunting Party, is the songs that are more experimental are definitely way better. Like, half the album of the Hunting Party feels like generic, or feels like you should have not tried that idea. And the other half of the album is like, where was this experimenting for the entire album? And you could have made your best album to date if you kept experimenting throughout the entire album instead of making half the songs generic. And another hot take, this might not be a hot take on LP Association, but I know my IRL best friend would tell me that this is a very much hot take, is Numb. All the way down at 43. Now, a lot of people would call me crazy for putting it that low. And then a lot of people on LP Association would probably agree that I put it that low, or maybe even say I put it too high. It's still a very good song. Love the lyrics, love the sound. I just think it's, compared to a lot of their other songs, it just feels just not as enticing. How long has this video been so far? This video's been over an hour. Dude, okay, I need to hurry up. I did not expect this video to take this long. I even mentioned in the intro that I'm probably not going to say much about each song, and then I proceed to talk about every single song. Just crazy. Anyway, song that a lot of people probably forgot existed is Not Alone. Go listen to it if you haven't heard it. It's a very good and beautiful song. And another song that might be considered a hot take in some areas for being too low, and might be considered a hot take for being too high in some areas of the internet, is Lying from You from Meteoira. Another fantastic song. We have probably yet another hot take. This song being as low as 40. It's Paper Cut from Hybrid Theory. It's the epitome of Linkin Park. It shows what they're all about perfectly, but they just have way too many good songs. That's where it ended up. And another song, these will be ranked together because they should have been one song in the first place. It's Foreward and Don't Stay. I don't know people's opinion on Don't Stay, really. I couldn't tell you if this is a hot take or not, but I've always really loved this song, and over the years, I feel like I've grown to love it more and more and more. Uh, and next is where I was talking about Meteor 20, right? And a lot of people said that Lost was the perfect lead single. Lost should have been on Meteora. I personally thought Lost was, it was alright at best, but I got heavily addicted to this song right here when it came out as the second single. Fighting Myself. One of the best songs they've ever done. Should have been on Meteora. Incredible song. Fits perfectly on Meteora. I think it should have been on Meteora. Now another song, Being This High, that is probably a hot take because most people probably haven't even heard this song. It is Animals. I don't remember what album this is a demo from. It might be from A Thousand Suns, might be from Living Things. I think it's one of those two albums. Either way, it's an unreleased song where Mike is just going as hard as possible in the rapping. It's just so good, and the beat is absolutely phenomenal. The next three songs, honestly, a lot of people probably have these next three songs higher. I still really love these songs. Like, this was a really hard list. Like I said, they have so many incredible songs. And that is three very heavy songs. These three songs, I also went back and forth a lot with myself on how I should rank these three songs amongst each other. And I decided that A Place Where My Head goes, and then Blackout right in front of it, and then Wretches and Kings right in front of it. All three really good, heavy songs with beautiful, like, song composition. Highly recommend all of them. Now, this next song used to be probably a top 10 Linkin Park song for me, and it's fallen all the way down to 33, and that is because it is my first ex's favorite Linkin Park song. My first ex and I were planning to get married, and we had talked about that we wanted to spend our lives together, and then one day she doesn't even do it in person. She just calls me up and says it's over, even though we were planning to get married, and it came out of nowhere. And ever since that, I don't like this song nearly as much as I used to, but I can't deny that this song is beautifully written. One of the best songs they've ever written. It's Iridescent from A Thousand Suns. 3 A Thousand Suns songs back to back. Interesting. And next, we have a song that is polarizing to a lot of people. But personally, give me any song like this. They just nailed this song perfectly. It's Victimized. The perfect short, scream, intense song. Really good. Another song that a lot of people would probably call cringy these days. It's Crawling. I still think the lyrics are incredible. I don't care what you say. I think it's aged very well. A lot of people might disagree with that. And now, after like six heavy songs in a row, we finally have a few. Well, I guess other than Iridescent, almost 6 heavy songs in a row. Five out of 6 of the last were heavy. We have 2 back-to-back slower songs. We have Roads Untraveled from Living Things. Just incredible vocals, incredible singing. Really, really love this one. And now we have one of the few songs from One More Light that I would consider a 10 out of 10. It's Nobody Can Save Me. And this is how I felt a lot of this year, actually. From June of last year to June of this year, I had from April of last year to June of this year, I had 2 concussions. I developed insomnia, I developed anxiety, I developed depression, I developed panic attacks, I developed all these physical pains that I thought were medical issues, but they turned out to be just mental health issues, and it honestly felt like I was searching for all these answers, and it felt like nobody could save me. And I just really relate to the lyrics of this song. And honestly, I'm wondering now if I should have ranked it even higher, because now that I have that personal connection, I never really had that personal connection when this song came out. I just thought it was a beautifully written song, and I thought the lyrics were some of the best lyrics they had ever written. But now I have that personal connection to that song. So it actually, in a future update, if I ever update this list, don't be surprised if you see it higher. Um, and now one of the staples of Linkin Park's catalog, it's given up that iconic scream. That's really all you have to say. That iconic 15-second scream. Just incredible, incredible song. Um, Now we have another twofer that should have been one song to begin with. I think was released on an LPU album as one song. It's Tinfoil and Powerless. Basically they're the same song, but they were split into two songs on the album. But it's a beautiful ballad. Highly recommend. Love the vocals, love the sound, love the lyrics. And speaking of more ballady, slower, less heavy type of songs, we have two back-to-back songs from Minutes to Midnight where they've always been personal fan favorites of mine. Some people may or may not agree, because I don't really see them mentioned a lot as fan favorites, but personally, I've always really enjoyed these songs. First, we have In Pieces, with the first ever guitar solo Linkin Park had ever done, if I remember correctly. And we have In Between. I think, as far as Mike's singing goes, a lot of people will probably disagree with me, but I think that's honestly peak Mike singing. I've always loved his singing in that song, and I think a lot of his singing has gotten worse since then. And another song that this is probably a hot take, and a lot of people probably haven't even heard it. It's White Noise from the Mall soundtrack. It's an absolute banger of a song. Incredible, incredible song. Just goes so hard. Love the screams, love the composition, love everything about it. Next is three songs that prove why Minutes to Midnight could have been the best album ever made by any artist ever. Not even joking. These three songs, it's a crime they did not make the final track listing for Minutes to Midnight. These three songs should have been on Minutes to Midnight, and it could have been the best album of all time. First, we have What We Don't Know. A lot of you probably haven't heard it because it was from an LPU release. It's not on Spotify to my knowledge, but it's one of Linkin Park's better my soft songs. And then we have two incredible, more heavy style songs where I feel like Minutes to Midnight is really good. Even though the fact that it has like a lot of these slower songs or like more traditional rock songs, but I feel like they could have bridged the gap between Meteoira and Minutes to Midnight more by including some of these heavier songs that they did fully finish for the album but didn't include it. Like, imagine if the album had like No More Sorrow, Given Up, and then also two more heavy songs on top of that, to make it a bit more heavy and a bit like transition from Meteor to Minutes to Midnight, a bit less of a drastic change. And that is QWERTY, which has been released on many different LPUs, and it's also on the Greatest Hits soundtrack. Incredible song. The Japan live performance is absolutely phenomenal. And then we have Across the Line. Really good, just old school vibe Linkin Park song. Incredible. And that ends the great section. So now we have the top 20. And I would feel like maybe I have a few hot takes in here, but overall, I would feel like a lot of people would consider these top 20 songs. And first, we have, oh, it's going to be up. We have From the Inside, but it's going to be hard to up here. Okay. From the Inside, incredible song, very classic Linkin Park, very good lyrics. The scream is incredible. Just vibes. And next we have One Step Closer, one of the last two songs from Hybrid Theory. Why is this not going in front of From the Inside? Why does Cheerless Maker hate me sometimes? One Step Closer, it's just classic Linkin Park. You can't deny that it's like the one song along with In the End that everyone just knows and goes back to and loves. And another song that a lot of people might not have heard, I think it is on Spotify. Or no, it's not on Spotify, I don't think. It is on Apple Music though, I think. It's weird because I believe this song was originally made for Minutes to Midnight, as you can see right here. The song is Blackbirds, but the song is actually on 1,000 Suns Deluxe, not Minutes to Midnight Deluxe. So I don't know. Call it Minutes to Midnight, call it 1,000 Suns, but I think it was originally made for Minutes to Midnight. And if Blackbirds was on Minutes to Midnight, along with all these other songs I just talked about, like these three songs, Minutes to Midnight would have just been the best album ever made. Now we have one of the last few songs from 1,000 Suns. We have The Catalyst. When this single came out, it split a lot of people. Why is it not? There we go. It split a lot of people's opinions, but I absolutely loved the electronic vibes. I loved how they made a longer song work, which we had only previously seen from The Little Things Give You Away, and I just loved the incredible sound from it. And now we have a classic song that a lot of people say, depends who you talk to. If you talk to like Linkin Park Association forums, they might say this song aged badly. If you talk to my IRL friends, they would say it's still one of Linkin Park's best song ever made, and that is Somewhere I Belong. I want to heal, I want to feel like I thought, whatever. I don't know, those lyrics, even though I forgot them off the top of my head just now, they never get old. And this is also another hot take. Probably, I assume it's a hot take. It is Skin to Bone. Oh, hold on. Skin to Bone from Living Things. It's such a unique song with a unique structure. It's like nothing they've ever done before. And like I said, Living Things is my favorite Linkin Park album. And next, we have another song from Meteoira. It is Faint, a song that never gets old, a song that many bands choose to cover. That's how much of an impact that Faint had. And another song that a lot of people probably rank way higher now ever since Chester's death, because the lyrics just hit in the feels. It's leave out all the rest. And honestly, I relate to these lyrics too. When my time comes, don't forget what I've done. Or forget the wrong that I've done. Or, dude, I'm so bad at remembering lyrics, but I do remember that I relate to them. Next, we have a song that is probably my biggest hot take, because I actually know a lot of people dislike this song. They find the lyrics corny. They're not a big fan of the sound. It's Lies, Greed, and Misery from Living Things. I don't find the lyrics corny. I really love the sound. The screams are absolutely incredible. The song composition is incredible. It's probably my biggest hot take in the top 20 for that reason. And now we have the last song from Hybrid Theory, the classic, the one that everyone knows. In the end, I tried so hard and got so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. The classic. And now we have what is arguably Mike Shinoda's best work. It's Sorry for Now from One More Light. I just really love how this song is like, I would say Mike's best singing work, and then you have a random attempt at Chester rapping, which he did an absolutely incredible job at. And then next is a song that might be a hot take for some, might not be a hot take for some. I think this song should have been the lead single of this album. I think this album would have popped off way more harder if it was the lead single, because it's basically old school Linkin Park with electronic elements. It's Lost in the Echo. It's old school Linkin Park with electronic elements, with really good vocals, rapping, insane screams of the song. Should have been the lead single. Should have had a better music video, like a more traditional music video, and it would have popped off so hard. Next is song that at one point probably my favorite Linkin Park song, or at least number 2, until some songs. Wait, I messed up somewhere. Did I? Oh, I did mess up. Okay, hold on. So there's a song that I accidentally skipped. It's supposed to be after Somewhere I Belong. It's In My Remains from Living Things. Oh, you can do this? I didn't realize. Well, I'm still gonna pin so you can see like the entire list. In My Remains goes in front of Somewhere I Belong. Just always loved the lyrics, loved the vocals, loved the song composition. And now, this was at one point probably a top 2 Linkin Park song for me until other songs surpassed it in the future. It is Waiting for the End from 1,000 Suns. It may not be a heavy version of traditional Linkin Park, but it is traditional Linkin Park, and it is absolutely incredible. Mike's best rapping ever, probably some of Chester's best singing ever, some of the best lyrics ever, composition ever, just absolutely incredible. And then next we have, this used to be my favorite Linkin Park song at one point, but it fell down slightly, and then a few songs came out after it that I ended up liking more than it. But at one point, this was my favorite song. It's Castle of Glass from Living Things. I still absolutely adore the lyrics. I will say the studio version is way better than the live version. The dance version they do live is kind of not that great compared to the studio. The studio version is just a flawless composition of a song. And so now we have my top 5. As you can see, these 5 songs remain. And you might be surprised, because if you look down here, look at all these songs from The Hunting Party: The Summoning, War, All for Nothing, Keys to the Kingdom, Until It's Gone, Wastelands, Drawer Bar, all in the okay or the bad. And that's why The Hunting Party is my least favorite Linkin Park album. But like I said, when they experiment on The Hunting Party, they do such a good job. Like A Line in the Sand or Guilty All the Same. Um, Anytime they experiment on like um when they experiment on The Hunting Party, it sounds really good. And I mean, Final Masquerade's not really an experimental song, but the other two definitely are. And it's just incredible what they do when they actually like branch out. And that is why Final Masquerade comes in at number 5. Just my honestly just such a good ballad. Used to be my favorite ballad from them. I don't know if you consider One More Light a ballad, or I don't know, but like it used to be like my favorite ballad from them until One More Light. And it's honestly just the lyrics are incredible, the vocals are incredible, and I'm so happy that I got to see it live. I got to see Linkin Park live in 2014, and they played Final Masquerade, and I was so happy. And now at number 4, we have a song that honestly, for the longest time, and it was my favorite Linkin Park song. It was, I mean, Minutes to Midnight came out, the song still was not topped. A Thousand Suns came out, the song was still not topped. Living Things came out, Castle Glass did top this song for a little bit, but then eventually it went back to not being topped, and then it's breaking the habit. It's just, I don't know how you can listen to Breaking the Habit and say that Meteora did not age well. Because Breaking the Habit just has those iconic vocals and iconic lyrics, and it's just the most incredible thing that old school Linkin Park had to offer. And I was very sad when they didn't play it live when I saw them. Like, that was the song I was hoping for the most, and they didn't play it. And I'm sad that I'll never get to see that song live, at least with Chester singing the vocals. But the song, the lyrics just hit deep, and the lyrics of Breaking the Habit have saved lives of a lot of people. And unfortunately, they couldn't save Chester's life, but they saved the lives of a lot of people. And I'm just thankful to Chester for the incredible lyrics of Breaking the Habit and the incredible sound of Breaking the Habit. And now we have hot take time. There's 3 songs left, and 2 of these songs you would probably never expect to be in someone's top 3. This is why I have hot takes. This is, I don't know, but this is a hot take. And, well, this next song's not a hot take, but my final 2 songs are a hot take. And coming in at 3rd, we have One More Light from One More Light. Now, the reason this is number 3, it used to be a bit lower, around like number 6 or 7, but it's grown on me a lot over the years, and it was already a top 10 song of theirs, so it's not like it grew that much, but like it definitely at one point in time was lower than Castle of Glass, lower than Final Masquerade, and lower than Breaking the Habit. But this song just means a lot to me. Because when I was 18, my best friend died in a hiking accident, and this song is just clearly like, I mean, if you just listen to the lyrics, it's just clearly about losing someone that you care so deeply about. And I actually, because this song means so much to me, want to pull up the lyrics so I don't butcher them off the top of my head. But but there's a part of the song that just always gets me really emotional. And um the song is, or the lyrics are, the reminders pull the floor from your feet, in the kitchen one more chair than you need, and you're angry and you should be, it's not fair. Just because you can't see it, it doesn't mean it isn't there. And I mean, losing your best friend at the age of 18 when they should have had a full life to live, it's just like, yeah, one more chair than you need. Like, you just always see that chair at the dining table that should be filled with this human being that had lots of joy and lots of laughter and a bright future ahead of him, and he's just gone in an instant, and just gone out of nowhere. And uh in my scenario, the last thing that me and my best friend had an interaction was is I accidentally woke him up the night before his death around midnight. I sent him a text message, and I guess he had his phone on volume, and I accidentally woke him up. And part of me always wonders if I never accidentally woke him up, if he never would have died the next day. And it just, the song One More Light, it's just, the lyrics mean so much. And then of course, after Chester himself passed away, the lyrics of One More Light just became double meaningful, because Chester is either my favorite or second favorite vocalist of all time, along with Tom DeLonge. They're pretty much equals in my opinion. Like both bands are my two favorite bands of all time. And it's just, when Chester died, these lyrics just hit even harder. And then probably about 4 years ago, my ex best friend. This is a different best friend than the one that died. My ex best friend, he started hate messaging me out of nowhere, and that's not a death, but it's still like losing someone that I deeply cared about, and had that really close friendship with. And I just lost that friendship out of nowhere. And then my my other best friend, um I guess I have a lot of best friends. I've mentioned a lot of best friends in this video, but they're all different people. There's four different best friends I'm talking about. One who's still currently a best friend, the best friend who died when he was 18, the ex best friend who just hate messaged me out of nowhere, and then this fourth um best friend I lost when I was in a state of mental illness this past year. Um, she stopped responding to my text messages, and I just, it's just the lyrics to One More Light just mean so much when you've lost so much. And it's such a beautifully written song that I wouldn't even be surprised if one day this song ends up as my favorite Linkin Park song instead of number 3 like it is now. Like, it already jumped up from number 6 to number 3, and I could see it jumping up even further. Um, and now that the sadness is out of the way, let us talk about my hot takes. Woo! My two favorite Linkin Park songs come from my least favorite Linkin Park album. How fun is that? It's crazy. My two favorite Linkin Park songs come from my least favorite Linkin Park album. And at number 2 is a song that I've seen a lot of people say did not need the screaming, but I actually really love the screaming in this song. It is Rebellion, featuring Darren from System of a Down, and you can definitely tell that this is a System of a Down song You can tell that it sounds like a System of a Down song. But it's an absolutely incredible song. From front to finish, the screams are amazing, the guitars are amazing, the mic portions are amazing, the singing portions from Chester are amazing. And it's them doing kind of like a style that they normally don't do. It is somewhat familiar territory, but it is somewhat experimental at the same time. And like I said, when the hunting party did the experimental side of things, they did it really well, and that is why my number one favorite Linkin Park song of all time is "Mark the Grave." There's probably debate on this, but I think it's arguably their most experimental song to date. And at least in terms of structure, it basically has no structure when pretty much every other Linkin Park song ever made has structure. And for them to have a song that doesn't have structure, it also has incredible lyrics, incredible vocals. Um, it's so good. Ever since I heard it, it instantly became my favorite Linkin Park song, and it has never changed to this day ever since it came out. It's just that good. Um, and yeah, so that is my top 20 or top 125 actually Linkin Park songs. Um, well, yeah. So I ranked 125 Linkin Park songs from the bad to the top 20. And here is my list. Hope you guys enjoyed. I will be uploading this to YouTube, and I will be posting this on an LP association for all of you guys to roast my opinions. Thank you for watching. Peace.